I'd like to welcome you to SculptureWalk 2018, our 15th year. We've had 777 great sculptures through SculptureWalk over those years. This year we have 57 sculptures throughout downtown. We've had wonderful sculptures through the years, but as a group, this is the best ever. Sculptors from all over the country, 3 from Canada. We have a lot of big sculptures this year, and the variety from sculpture to sculpture is really wonderful. Start working on this year's program in July with the Call to Sculptors. The selection committee meets in October, selects the sculptures. I communicate with the artist from that time on until installation. The current sculptures come down in the middle of April. In between the middle of April and the first part of May, we change out the nameplates, paint the pedestal tops, just make sure everything is ready for the artist when they come the first weekend in May. On installation Saturday, we start at 5:30 in the morning installing sculptures. We're pretty much done by about 9 o'clock, and then after that we install other sculptures, lease sculptures and sold sculptures in other parts of town. We also have satellite programs at Vera McKinnon Hospital, University of Sioux Falls, 8th and Railroad, and the airport, and other places around town.
My name's Bruce Stillman from Minnetrista, Minnesota, and this one I call the Mirror Mushroom. It's all highly polished stainless steel, and it just reflects everything around it, so it's kind of like a reverse, kind of a picture of everything that's around it. Well, there's the famous piece in Chicago called The Bean, and I recognize what made that work very well was this panoramic reflection. It's kind of like a reversal of looking at things, because it's like you're looking at yourself in your environment, maybe a little distorted with the curving, but I think it's a new area for me that I'm going into with of the art of reflections.
Hi, my name's Patti Steak from Golden, Colorado, and this is Basking Light. This was modeled after my turtle. His name was Rabbit. I had him for 5 of his 31 years. He could run like the Dickens. That's why he got named Rabbit. He's a red-eared slider. Turtles are a pretty intensive pet. They need a lot of love and care. So I think it's better to have it this big so they can crawl all over it and pet him without actually having to have one at your house.
This is the 15th year of SculptureWalk. With 57 sculptures throughout the year, we've had 770 sculptures in downtown, but probably closer to 850 to 900 sculptures just with lease sculptures and at our satellite programs. We've sold over 185 sculptures. Many of those have stayed in Sioux Falls.
My name is Cameron Stahlheim, and the name of my piece is Persist. This piece is all about being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be open. The following sculptures after this will be similar size and similar scale, but the figure is actually going to end up being lifted up into the air with the fabric. So this is just the first in which the figure is really grounded, unavailable, and like feeling a little bit of burden of life. I'm hoping I can inspire people to ask for help if they need it, to allow themselves to be more open with who they are as an individual, and be more free a little bit.
This is Carmen Marimba, and it's a play off of Carmen Miranda. I remember when I was a kid, I used to just absolutely love old movies, and I'd stay up as late as they'd show them. And I remember seeing her dancing in those old 40 movies, and she kind of brought the Latin type of music to the United States. It became popular because of the movies.
Well, our goal is to get people to stay more than a minute. It's not just walk by. And this, you can't help but stop and enjoy her outfit. We go crazy on them, but it takes time to look at, and then you can play it, and The marimbas are kind of a new thing. It's like a steel drum, only they reinvented it. And this works really well. And it's harmonic, it's soothing, there's no bad notes. So even I, who can't play music, can sound like, oh, that sounds good.
There's a lot of people that are very intimidated by art, you know, and it shouldn't be that way. You should be able to go up and touch it, and you know, we've got texture and we've got sound, and you can go around it. It's got history because of old movies, and yeah, and she's very happy making music, and I just want people to get the feeling of joy and come up and play the drums a little bit, even if you can't play that well.
The University of Sioux Falls selects sculptures from downtown for the previous year. Really enhances their campus. I really think it's probably attracted more art students. You know, it's a very unique program. Not very many colleges have original sculptures coming to campus and switching out every year. Avera McKinnon Hospital has sculptures scattered throughout their indoor campus. Very unique. I don't know of any other hospitals in the country that have rotating sculpture programs like Avera. The Avera sculptures are smaller sculptures for indoor display. And after we select the outdoor sculptures, we do another call to our artists for the Avera McKinnon program. And so they bring those sculptures with them when they come for the downtown installation, and then we install the Avera sculptures a week later. And we have 15 sculptures in Watertown. We have 5 sculptures in downtown Vermilion, 7 sculptures at the University of South Dakota. So SculptureWalk continues to grow, and it's all about art to the people.
Hello, my name is Harold Link, and the sculpture is called White Step. White Step is a bronze. The emotion in the piece is that anticipation, that is the water too hot, is the water too cold, do I really want to marry this guy? Those kinds of questions that you ask before you take that leap into the big unknown. What will happen to me? Will it be good? Will it be bad? And I tried to capture that moment in my style, which it's got inside and outside concave and convex surfaces. I've done a number that are like this. Some are more exuberant dance poses, some are more reflective, but this is one that I want that emotion to be that anticipation. So that's what I tried to catch with this.
My name is Heidi Hoy, and this is my sculpture, Rocky. I'm a bronze caster, so this is my first time working in mosaic. And it's an epoxy clay that is used by the zoo for displays, and it was really a fun experiment. So Rocky's kind of an experiment in texture and different materials. I did a bronze that you had on display here called Spalding that was smaller, but it's the same sculpture. Our foundry had just started scaling up with a computer, small scale pieces to however large you wanted to make it, and cut it out of styrofoam. And I gave them the wrong dimensions. So I got this giant styrofoam dog, but it still cost me quite a bit of money. And I've carried it around for years trying to figure out what to do with it. And then I finally figured it out. And I'm really happy with it. I like it. I'm going to do another mosaic for next year for Sioux Falls.
SculptureWalk initiated the SculptureWalk Sculptor Virtuoso Certification Program. And what that is 2 years ago we initiated this program where 8 of the participating sculptors judge the entire group of sculptures for Best of Show. We recognize 1 overall Best of Show and 9 to 11 other Best of Show 2 awards. To achieve Virtuoso certification status, which is Master Sculptor status, they have to win one of those Best of Show awards 3 times in their career. It's quite an honor to achieve that status because they're being judged by their peers.
My name is Gregory Mendez from Decatur, Indiana. I brought Daphne this year to SculptureWalk. Well, Daphne is made entirely out of round steel stock. Each piece was bent individually to fit a specific part in the sculpture. The sculpture itself, Daphne, was titled after the Greek myth, Daphne and Apollo. Daphne was trying to avoid being kidnapped by Apollo, so at some point her father turned her into a laurel tree. So she's right at the very beginning of her transformation, going from figure to laurel tree. And on top of her head you'll see purple flowers, which are the flowers of the laurel tree. This piece kind of implies movement, knowing that it's supposed to be representing Daphne transforming into a laurel tree. It's the color that is actually implying the movement and the action in the piece, as opposed to the figure itself moving around.
My name is Kimber Fee Berger. The sculpture is called Unwinding. You're looking at a woman who has a lot of energy, and it's kind of busting out of her. I'm just looking for a positive reaction, and hopefully they sort of understand the intent of the piece. The physical dynamism that I'm trying to create, and that they just understand that. My other piece is called Power of Three, and it is just a figurative piece. It's three people together. I'm one of these people that is not very good with words, and I just think the sculpture should kind of speak for itself. And I could make up this big flowery thing to describe it, but I'm not going to, because it just is what it is.
When we started working on SculptureWalk in 2003, I knew two things. Number one, it would help to beautify the historic downtown, and then also that it would help to spark the economy downtown and throughout the city, just because it would become a destination point, and that's exactly what has happened over the years. We get people completing the ballots on the People's Choice sculptures from just about every state in the country, and from many countries as well. So it is a destination point. When people come to Sioux Falls, they obviously go down to the falls, they come to SculptureWalk, and then they do other fun things around the city. But in order for Sioux Falls to become a real tourist town, we need to have more destination points.
My name's Dale Lewis. I'm out of Hastings, Minnesota. I made a Sasquatch, and he's 8 feet tall, covered with copper wire hair. I wanted to make a sculpture, a decent-sized sculpture, using the copper wire, because I'd used it on some much smaller projects, and I like the texture. And I was talking to an artist friend of mine, and she suggested a swamp monster, and that's what made me think of Sasquatch. And once I thought of it, I had to make him. Titled him Sasquatch, but he has big feet. This is kind of my go-to technique here for sculpting. I create a armature frame with a steel rod and cover it with salvaged stainless steel sheet metal. So that's what I did here. At one point he looked like he was all shiny, and then I can't weld copper wire, so I devised a technique where I stick it in the sleeves and smack it with a hammer to crimp it. I end up with a mass of material that I can weld on there. So I create these hair plugs and weld it on there until he looks hairy. I had a lot of copper wire when I started out from an electrician friend, and I thought, well, there's no way this can do all of them, but I'd get halfway or so, and I'd know exactly what I need to line up, and I only made it to his knees. So it's kind of depressing that I can't guess better than that. So I had a friend bring her grandchildren's over to my shop, and one girl, she wouldn't go in the shop, and she was crying. And I hope that isn't the effect I'm reaching for. It's all about fun and enjoyment, and take it away. I purposely used the iconic photo of Bigfoot that everybody knows. I used the same pose and everything, just so there's no question about what I was making.
Hi, my name is Christine Knapp, and I'm the sculptor of this piece right here called Mountain Love. It's a mountain lion with two little cubs that we see a lot in our neck of the woods in northern Colorado. And so my objective was to show the tender side of the mountain lion instead of the scary side that some people are familiar with. People usually associate them with chasing prey, killing something. I wanted them to see that they have a tender side too. And their behavior very much mimics a domestic cat in that they purr, they nuzzle up against their young like this, and the one cat is rubbing up against his mother's chest, much like a domestic cat would do. So I was drawn to that.
It's easy to walk from sculpture to sculpture to sculpture, take a couple of minutes and look at each one of them, but if you stop and think about what goes into each one of these sculptures, number one is creativity. Each artist has to come up with the idea of what should I do, how can I do it, what's it going to cost, because when they're creating these sculptures, they have no earnings. And so, the bronze sculptures are very expensive, but each one of these sculptures take hundreds of hours to create. And they're coming here, they're trusting that we'll take care of the sculptures. We make a real effort to sell and lease the sculptures. I really enjoy writing a lot of checks out to the artists because that's what's most important two things that are most important. That we give the artists recognition and as much money as we can because they deserve it. And number two, for the people of Sioux Falls and our visitors to really enjoy the sculptures. We're working hard to accomplish both of those objectives.
My name is Osama Dabi, and the title of my work is Art of Music. Okay, we're looking at a piece that's trying to bring out the music from the soul. It is not what we normally hear these days, because music is what actually you hear and to give you the peace of mind, give you the spiritual understanding of what you cannot touch. And music is something that's supposed to give you happiness, strength to go ahead in whatever you are doing. I like using sterilization, abstract, and realism in one piece. You can observe now there are some holes, this another shape. It looks like a vacuum on the body of the piece, but it's another shape entirely.
My name is Jim Maher, and this piece is called Laura and Jack. This piece was my first draft of an idea for a sculpture of Laura Ingalls Wilder and her dog Jack. So, and I just thought about her running across the prairie, with her dog at her side. So that's kind of where it came from. Always looking for a way to include movement and kind of the line in the sculpture, and it just seemed like a natural. I think it's pretty representative of South Dakota, just the happiness of the open space and stuff that we have here.
This is our 15th year, so a lot of great things going on this year. The celebration, also we're opening the Visitor Center at the Washington Pavilion, and it's on the second floor, right next to the Visual Arts Center. And we have some sculptures displayed there. We're going to have the city video running there constantly, and a lot of other information to look at and enjoy. And we hope that most people get up there and see it. The Sculpture Walk starts, number 1 is in the South Plaza Pavilion, number 57 is on the north corner by the pavilion. So it starts and finishes at the pavilion. So when you get done with your Sculpture Walk, just go up to the Visitor Center and sit down and relax and take it all in.
Dan Perry, sculpture name is Vault. A lot of my work, I deal with architectural forms, so I try and gather little details from buildings and things like that and combine them into larger forms, so you can kind of see different references to like columns and details like corbels and crown molding and things like that. And I try and add abstract, take a combination of recognizable things and abstract forms and combine them together to almost make them look like they're seamless and they're meant to be together. I think every time somebody walks by, I want them to see something different or get a different experience, whether it's the time of the day or something they missed the first time. Something of this scale, when you're working on it in your studio, you're not really sure. I mean, it seems really big inside. Once you take it outside, the scale changes again. So what I want them to see is that how big buildings are and kind of become aware of their own scale, like how tall they are, how big they are in relation just to the world in general. And also just the location here, being able to pull references from different buildings around here and see if there's any relationship between the buildings behind it and across the street at the pavilion, and have a sense of that it belongs here in a way.
My name is Jennifer Cannon, and the sculpture is called Chimitral. You are looking at an aluminum and brass polished piece. There are 12 rods that are bent around. And it's a conceptual piece. It's about how we as humans try to control everything, but we can only kind of control very small little portions of it. So the parts that are kind of captured in with these brass pieces are our effort to control our world. Well, I hope they respond to it in some way. Hopefully they love it and can think about it and interact with it and kind of the conceptual, see if they can get the idea I'm trying to get across. And hopefully they'll wonder how I made it, because it's pretty difficult to put these together.
I'm Clark Martinick out of Mitchell, South Dakota. This is my sculpture titled Battle of Perception, and it is everything of Battle of Perception. I want people to look at this in every way possible. You can look at it as chaos, you can look at it through love. The piece that I've made here consists of 3 different metals. Everything here was worked traditionally through the coal fire and the anvil. So every hole here was hot punched and drifted to be the size that it needed to be. I want people to be able to look at this and see the beauty in the form and the shape, but when it really comes down to it, there's a focal point with everything. I want my piece to be able to show that wholeheartedly. Love and chaos. That is what this piece really is all about.
The brochure includes photos of all 57 sculptures plus the People's Choice sculptures over the year. It also has a ballot for People's Choice voting and a map of where the sculptures are, and other information, how to participate as a volunteer, how to buy a sculpture or lease a sculpture, and also has good information about SculptureWalk and the satellite programs. The brochures can be found in the brochure boxes attached to the historic light posts on each side of the block between 9th Street and 12th Street, and also at the pavilion. SculptureWalk is only as good as the quality of our artists and their sculptures. We are very fortunate to have some of the best sculptors in the country participating in SculptureWalk. Also couldn't get it done without our financial supporters and our volunteers.
I tell people about Sioux Falls, their program here. I consider it the sculpture mecca of the country.
It's an honor, because honestly, you're attracting artists from all over the United States, and that's not easy to do. And that speaks highly of the quality of the artwork that you're jurying into this show.
Well, this is a great opportunity for the public to have access to art, and for artists to really express what they want to say to the public. This is one of the biggest sculpture walks in the nation. It's just an incredible opportunity for both artists and the public as well.
I love the idea because it really can revitalize an entire area. It brings people into the area as a destination point just to see the sculpture.
Even though I'm a local, to be able to be in the presence of other great artists from around the world, to be able to put my work next to theirs, I mean, it's such an honor.
You can't compare it to any other town. As I understand, it's the best sculpture walk in the United States. I want to be with it as it grows, and every year I want to keep giving it better and better pieces.
We invite everyone to come downtown and enjoy the sculptures. There's sculptures for everyone. There's figurative, like what's over my right shoulder. There's abstract, like what's over my left shoulder. There's large sculptures, there's small sculptures. We have a lot of sculptures for kids. And over the years, I've seen sweethearts doing sculpture walk. I've seen families doing sculpture walk. I've seen several generations doing sculpture walk. I've seen people from other countries doing sculpture walk. You just got to come down and see all 57 of these sculptures. They're all fantastic. This is the year to do it. Come on down.